Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're talking about our coming out stories. So, our coming out stories have been, mine in particular has been a little rough. So, a bit of a trigger warning. There will be some sensitive topics being talked about. But why don't you start with yours? What are you?
I am Naomi.
Well, yes, that. But are
Oh,
you
you mean
bisexual,
more specifically, right? Okay.
pansexual? Yeah.
All right. So I came out as pan to my folks when I started dating this bozo right here. I love her to death. I can't lie. So I came out to to my folks, and of course, right wing Christian parents. It didn't go well at first. There was a few issues. Mostly was just finding understanding between each other. Not to mention, I became extremely defensive about my sexuality and my preferences. I took offense to anyone who disagreed with me, and I kind of became an asshole because of it, which wasn't the right thing to do at the time. It was not at all the way I should have been. But then again, they didn't come at me in a very good way either. So it kind of was fault on both parts. But I feel like now we've reached kind of a condolence between our two points of views, and I feel like now everything's a lot more calm than it was before, and we have started to get along again. Me and my parents, we're very close still, and it seems like everything's worked out for the best, I guess, for the most part. I still haven't come out completely about my gender identity, but I'm not sure what that is at all anyway, so we'll figure that one out later.
The main thing that I wanna get across is not everybody has to come out. There is a lot of circumstances where you do wanna take some time to figure yourself out before you come out to anybody, because otherwise it could be confusing for other people if you don't know exactly, like, who you are. Like, for you, you're still doing a lot of gender exploration, which is a very, very tough thing to do. I should know what that's like. You're also in a bit of a risky situation because you still live with your parents just like I do. Were you afraid that you were going to get kicked out at all or get in any like serious trouble as far as that?
Oh, when I first came out, that was the first thought that ran through my head. And I honestly, to some extent, feel bad that was the first thought that ran through my head because my folks are pretty decent people. And I kind of, I guess, overestimated the reaction to it, I guess. I thought that was the first thing on my mind. I'm like, oh, they're going to kick me out. They're going to hate me. They're not going to love me no more. It's an LGBT person. Everybody has those thoughts run through their head. It don't matter how progressive your folks are or how conservative or how anything. Your first thought is doom no matter what. It always seems like most people's thoughts are doom. And that was the first thing that ran through my head is like I'm screwed. I just threw my life away as soon as I say any of this. I'm it's over. It was a lot, but it turned out okay. My mom handled it rough at first, but we came together, we talked about it. She eventually met my beautiful girlfriend right here, and we all ate Japanese food together, and everybody was cool. Even my dad now makes jokes like he would about any girl that I'm dating. He's like, when Jenny will tell me to do something, or she'll say something like, I'll say, oh, she needs me here, or she wants me here. He's like, yeah, that ball and chain's getting tight, ain't it? And I'm like, this is stuff a dad says to their child about their partner. Like, this is normal. Like, it feels normal again, you know? They're just treating her like anybody else, and it's hilarious, but it's also so, like, calming, you know? It's adorable. I love it. It makes me feel good. And I'm really happy that everything, or majority of everything's out in the open at this point. Because I do talk to my folks about things that I have issues with, I try to at least. And of course, we have our limits. We have our walls put up between each other. We don't talk about what goes on in each other's bedrooms. Like, obviously, my folks don't talk about their life. I don't talk about mine. We try to keep all that PG-13 as possible. We keep conversations PG-13, and it saves everybody from a little bit of embarrassment. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's pretty much mine. I mean, unless you got any other questions for me.
What about the whole poly situation? Polyamorous relationship?
So that was rough at first. It was still the same way, and I think my mom's still not a big fan of it. I think my father, for the most part, could care less, or he's just not saying anything, one or the other. But I have come out to them about that, and they know that I'm dating Jenny and dating Daisy, and that we're all three a throuple. They understand that. and mom makes sly comments like, I don't want to put up with two daughter-in-laws. And I'm like, okay, well, you going to anyway. I'm like, I'm just straightforward about it. That's what I'm like, too bad you don't get to make that choice. My life, my choice.
And then
You
there
could
was
either
there was a time where you were struggling to talk to your mom about that because you were scared to, just like I've had similar it's actually,
Mhm.
I've had more issues with that, but it was tough for you.
It was very tough. It's the fear. The fear is what holds people back, at least in my experience. It feels like we hold ourselves back because of fear. We don't progress forward or anything. We don't try harder. We don't try to get it out there to people. Not everybody's gonna be understanding, but I think as LGBT people, we also underestimate how understanding other people can be. We go straight to the like I said, to doom. We go straight to the the disaster plan in our head. Like it's all going to hell. We're screwed. But sometimes people shock you in how they react. My uncle, when I came out to him, he said, "I don't care what he does as long as he doesn't chop his, what off." And I was like, I don't plan on having that surgery no matter what. It's not on the books for me. I don't like hospitals and I could care less what's down there. It works. It's good. It's good. It's good enough. It's like I'm not worried about this part. I guess that was pretty much it on that one. I mean, it was again, it's just fear. It's just that anxiety of it all. How about your story? You're part of it.
Okay, so I ended up having two coming out stories. My first one was actually when I was a part of a VR chat air show group. And I remember, I believe this was after we did our first and only air show, which was a massive success. But I had built a bond with these people. It was a group of five of us, I believe. 5 or 6, I can't remember. It was one of those situations where it's virtual reality and there's not much risk to coming out on here. So the thing is that I'm both pansexual and I'm trans, which I have to say this under my voice a little bit because I still live with my parents right now, which is unfortunate, which I'll get into that later. I had some trust in these people because they were pretty chill. I decided I was just going to come out to them, and they received it really well. In fact, they were excited about it. They were excited to see that, I was trying to be my whole self, that I was being honest, and they saw it coming from a mile away. I'm the type of person where I have trouble keeping anything a secret at all. They pretty much knew that it was going to happen eventually. They had a lot of hunches. That was my good coming out story. My parents were a whole different story. So, this part of my story brings up a lot of anxiety because it was a very traumatic time in my life. And I'm going to be reading a little bit off of some text messages that were sent that day. And every time I open these messages, it always gets to me a little bit. I was at work and I had been contemplating for a couple of months coming out to them, but not fully because I lived in a conservative Christian household. My hope is that they would be understanding, that they would at least be civil about it, and that, their love wasn't conditional. So I came up with some text messages at work when I had some free time, and I sent it to them. And part of the message reads out a couple of personal little details, but I basically told them that I'm pansexual and that I've dated a couple guys before and that I was currently with a guy now. This was back before you identified as non-binary. They were with me the entire time that I was sending these messages out. I told them I'm still the same person, just with slightly different interests, and that nothing much will change in the moment. I told them that I tried to be a closeted gremlin. I was trying to pop a couple jokes in the text messages, which I cannot stress enough, don't make the same mistakes, because that didn't go over too well. I was trying to ease the tension. And the next message that I got after a couple hours and me asking them if they got the message was basically, don't talk to us until after the weekend, and that they needed some time to process and to pray and all that. And that and my dad said that it hurt them both. And my text message after that was basically me asking for some humanity. I'll give you some time to process. However, be warned, your actions can also hurt me. I'm your son, and I came to you in confidence, and that's all. And then he didn't like that text message too much. And it devolved into them threatening to kick me out if I was to push the matter any farther. My dad said something along the lines of, "You want to push me, you can find somewhere else to stay this weekend if you press us." That's his words verbatim. So they were not receptive to this whatsoever, and that was not what I was expecting. So on my way home that night, I was on a highway. This one had some stuff going on in their lives, and they got some good news. I had a lot of stress on my shoulders, and hearing some good news for them, that opened up the floodgates. I had the biggest panic attack of my life, and it was on a busy highway. It was very congested, semi trucks all around me, and I had to swerve from the passing lane all the way over to the emergency lane, which was incredibly dangerous because I was getting lightheaded and I thought I was going to lose control of the car. That night I could have not made it home, and that was a really rough time for me. My dad did send me a text message saying you still have a place to come home to. Through this experience, I learned that my parents had very conditional love and that they were not the parents that I thought they were. And I only came out to them as pansexual. I didn't come out to them as trans. This was a test. And in my mind, they completely and utterly failed it. And it was not safe for me to come out as trans. And I still haven't to this day. I thought my parents would have been more rational. They would have been calmer about the situation, but they weren't. I came home and I let a couple days pass until I talked to my dad again. And his response was, "You know what our belief is. What did you expect?" And he said they're not going to change their beliefs. Over the next couple of months, I stayed in my lane. They stayed in their lane. But one night, I couldn't take it anymore. And I asked my mom and dad. I talked to my mom and dad about this whole situation. And my mom said, and this is one of the worst things that she could have said to me. My mom said that I basically offed her son. And in that same exact moment, I lost my mom. I lost the mom that I thought I knew, the mom that I grew up with, the loving mom that would love me no matter what. For a long time after that, I basically had to grieve the loss of a mom that didn't exist, that I built up in my head. And that realizing that their love is conditional and they won't ever want to know anything more about me and my life from then on out. At least nothing important, you know. This was the first time in my life that I actually felt abandoned, that I felt rejected, and it was the worst thing to deal with at the worst time. But because of all this, I did learn how to become more independent, self-reliant, and a lot more confident in myself and my decisions later on, but not not for a while. I had to go through a lot of hardships because of all this, and this one and Daisy were here through all of it. What'd you experience during that time while I was going through all that?
Experienced a lot of hurt seeing somebody that I love being her, dealing with the fallout of parents who are not being accepting and were being very cruel. And I just want to give a little message to parents out there. Take time, and I know everybody has their different beliefs, their religious views, their moral conundrums with it. And I'm sure everybody wants to see their son or daughter be quote unquote normal. And I get that. But we are born who we are. We're going to like who we like. We're going to be attracted to who we're attracted to. And take time to talk to your children. Listen to them. Notice the little things that make them different. And be accepting and be loving towards them. I don't think you should necessarily give up what you believe in, but also you shouldn't alienate your children just because they're different. And who knows? They might be the ones who change your point of view, especially once they reach adulthood. They're adults too at that point. You know, we have our lives. We've lived through a lot of stuff too. Nobody wants to be gay or trans or lesbian. Nobody wants that. It's who we are. And, I love this beautiful girl right here. No matter the fact she's trans, no matter the fact she's pan, none of that mattered to me. I love her for her. Because she's sweet to me, she cared about me, and out of all the girls that I've dated, or all the guys that I've dated, or anybody I've dated, she has been there for me more than anybody else. And I told my mom that one day. I said, "You don't realize how much she means to me. You don't realize how much this girl's been in my life and truly showed me compassion, where other girls I dated, other people I dated did not. That's what makes her special, and I love her." Mhm.
And the reason why I want to talk about this is a part of my history. This is something that happened to me, and it was very traumatic. It really was. And it still, like, I need to close my phone right now because these text messages, I don't like looking at them. Because they remind me too much of what I went through back then. But I grew from this situation. I made it out the other side. I made it out with some scars, but I became a better person because of all this. I became ultimately so much stronger. It took time for the wounds to heal. It took time to gain the resilience that I needed to move on. It helped me to handle other situations later on in life. And this was actually not that long ago. This is like maybe a year ago.
No, that was probably about a year ago. Yeah. You're right. It's around 24. It was early 20.
September 2024.
Feels like a long time, don't it?
Oh boy. I just want to share this with y'all because I know that there's a lot of y'all who are either about to come out to your parents or loved ones or have already done it. You'll make it out the other side. But I also want to emphasize, if you are in a dangerous situation, if you are in a situation that could get you physically hurt or kicked out, I took a measured risk. I did the math and I flew very close to the sun that day. There was a risk that I could get kicked out. I did have a backup plan just in case. It was a very lofty one, but I did have one. But make sure to protect yourselves first. If it's not safe to come out, don't come out. Come out in your own time to the people who you trust. You don't have to come out to anybody if you don't want to. It's not something that you have to do. It's not something that anybody can. Actually, they can force you to do it. I'm going to cut that part out. There is such a thing as outing.
I mean, yeah, but honestly, I'd leave it in there. That's a valid point. Some people might try to force you out of the closet, and they might force you. I actually had that happen with my uncle. Family member of mine found one of my TikTok videos where I was talking about being LGBT, and they used it against me. They told, so it was a cousin of mine who told my uncle's girlfriend's ex-husband, who told it to his son, which is my uncle's stepson, and it got back to my uncle, who found out that I was pan. And I think he also thought I was trans back then, but then I kind of covered that one up a lot easier. Um, I was able to cover that one up, thank God. But I definitely, the other part was out there, and I couldn't go back into the closet. I couldn't conceal that anymore. I was forced out of the closet to my uncle, and of course, once I was out to him, it was out to my aunt, and it's a whole thing. People can be like that. People can be cruel, and they will out you, and there's nothing you can really do about that. You can spend your whole life being privated. You can spend your whole life being, you know, quiet about it, but you never can truly prevent that. Never really. I mean, you can try, but it ain't gonna happen all the time.
It is unfortunate that we do live in a world where coming out is such a big deal and that outing is a thing. I wish that this stuff was more accepted by the people around us, but it's just not the world we live in right now. There
If
are
you're straight, you sure as hell don't have to come out.
I'm
They don't have to deal with none of this.
not gonna lie, it is tough to live with a lot of days, but through all the struggles, it is worth it. You will find people that will support you, and I would suggest that if you do want to come out, that you get people around you to support you.
Like
That
this
you
one.
yeah. Because if I didn't have this one to lean on, I
I
don't even
am
want to imagine
glorious.
it. Shut up. How dare you? I will punch you.
Come on,
These are
bring it on,
these are
bring it on,
legitimate
bring it
threats
on.
of violence. YouTube, please do not take me down. They're not. But anyway, so that's both of our stories. We have had it pretty rough. This last year has been probably it has been the worst year of my life, but I have become so much more resilient after all the struggles I've been through. And I will be talking more in detail in another video, and so will they, about all the individual struggles of coming out, living at me as trans, them as pansexual, me pansexual too, being in a poly relationship. Like, we're going to be talking about all the nitty gritty and stuff. So look forward to that in one of the future videos coming up. Just so you know, you're not alone. We are out here for you. We will be here for you if you need it. Make sure to keep yourself safe, and we'll see you in another video. Bye! But first, I'm gonna eat you.
Gross.